Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here's a quote just for this episode. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. Friedrich Nietzsche. Our guest today is a friend of the Culture Matters podcast. If you haven't heard them on episode 802, go listen to that episode right after this. They've been a high performing athlete for decades. They've won competition in the physique world. They've worked in the corporate landscape for decades all over the world in management at some amazing companies. They are a student of purpose and integrity and organizational leadership, have their PhD on the subject, a student of philosophy, like we talked about last episode. Dr. Damien Taylor, the founder of Be the Leader, who is an executive coach, mentor, advisor, turns turns not only organizations around in the right lens of thinking as it relates to purpose and culture, but uplifts organizations that want to operate at that higher level of leadership intelligence that we're going to talk about today. I'm so excited to have you back on the show. I was just re-listening to episode 802, Dr. Damien Taylor. Thanks for coming back.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's so good to see you again, my friend. It's been a while. We caught up in London of all places in February at the art conference, but it's such a pleasure to be back and an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much for the opportunity again to see you.
Speaking of arc, actually, there's something I did want to say in the intro that something big that's occurred since we met up in person at the Alliance of Responsible Citizenship. You're actually a adjunct professor at Southern Cross University, so congratulations on that as well. That's a great honor
Thank
and
you. Yeah,
very
no, definitely
amazing.
stoked. Yeah, very humbled and honored to get that position at Southern Cross University and get the adjunct professor, which is fantastic, and to be able to research leadership more and work with PhDs and other people and further research on that and contribute to workshops and to lectures is just fantastic.
Actually, for our listeners' reference, we have many entrepreneurs and executive leaders that listen to this show. What type of value, right, to be in the academic medium and the corporate landscape, what type of value does that extra value, would you say that adds as an organizational advisor, a leader that helps leaders be a better leader? So why is that such a big deal in your profession to have that professor time in research and development for those that might not?
Absolutely. It's a great question. And I suppose from one sense, I've got the practical benefit that I've been in sitting in the seats, whether it's high performance sport or in corporate or helping leaders across any segments around the world. So you're actually in the weeds, so to speak, and working with them. But from a research perspective, that I get to see the other side of the table where you're looking at some groundbreaking evidence, some groundbreaking research where if I'm supervising a PhD at the moment with other people, and there's a few others that we're looking at. So I get real time research information that's enhancing my knowledge as well, because we only know what we know. So there's two different aspects which I get the great benefit of merge and intersection of research and current research of what gaps are and what we can look at and why. And I get to work with people on one-on-one or a basis, whether they're the head of the organisation or leadership groups, that I can share what knowledge is coming, but I can also sit in what knowledge is there and use my experience from the past. So I'm getting a
Mm,
really broad intersection of past, present, and future to use to benefit.
yes. Wow, wow. I am curious about when it comes to the culture, what role do you see what, how do you define leader? Where would we even start there? Like when it comes to culture, how do you define, or how would you interpret what leader means, the word leader, as it relates to the idea of culture, right? Is it designed? Is it just there no matter what? And how it, how do we start
It's such a
unpacking this?
fascinating aspect
I've
and
been,
question, isn't it really? And this is something that I'm deep diving into a lot because I'm so interested in it. And people, do you want to develop a culture? Often people think about that, but let's strip down leadership
uh-huh.
and leader. What is it in its purest form? You're wanting to have situational influence. So as a leader, you're going to be coming up against many different types of scenarios, but you need to have influence in that situation through your leadership. Now, if you're coming in as a new leader, there'll be a certain culture there, but that's through a result of what the leadership is throughout. And leadership of it is a day-to-day aspect of who you are, what you do, and how you turn up every day to get that consistency. So if you really want to bring it back, have you looked at the origins of culture? Culture was actually from agriculture in the 1500s, and it meant it was a French word "cultere," which meant to till the ground. So it's actually to do with the agriculture and setting everything back to a bedrock level, and to bring it to a base and build something through your value, what you see as your values and your beliefs, because you had to give yourself and the community a purpose of what you wanted to do and what's going to be a benefit for yourselves and the community through that agriculture. It's really a
Oh,
fascinating story of origins of the word culture. So it actually was from that the Latin and French merged it, but it had to do with agriculture of what's being built. So
whoa.
culture was a byproduct. It wasn't you're building it. It was what was being built by yourself and the community to provide an end result. It's really cool how that came about.
You
So,
know, when you, or go ahead.
no, go ahead, please.
The agricultural advancement of our species, our civilization. In the before that, this might be a little history or anthropology or something. Um, Before that, humans were going out and hunting, or is that right? And
Absolutely.
that
Hunter
agriculture, just
gatherers. Yeah.
this is like testing some things I haven't thought about in a while.
Yeah.
Like hunter gatherer, that's a different, it's different activity, interaction, different rituals maybe than
Absolutely, because that was
agriculture.
more of an
Yeah.
individual survival aspect. Whereas then coming into that 1500s, this is, I need this for my benefit and survival, but so does our community. So how can I build something that's going to be of purpose, service and benefit to everyone else, but it's going to uphold my values, my moral and ethical radar, but it's going to meet the community's values, so there's commonality there as well. So when you really draw on that, and you're going to have a discussion with people in your community to say, look, we've got the opportunity to build this sort of crop that's going to be a benefit to everyone, that's going to feed people, but it's also going to give us the opportunity to on-sell that to others that need it. So we're going to make some money, but we're going to service people, and we're doing something really good that everyone will invest in and feel good themselves, that everyone's got an important role.
Are you alluding to that the culture is the byproduct of the tilling?
Absolutely. So exactly, you've got your values and what you see. You've brought some, and you've got purpose, which is your engine. Then you've gone to your community with, here's what I see and here's what I think. If we work at this collectively, we can do something very special. but we're going to have to work hard. We're going to have to strip things down. We're going to have to work individually with our role. That's going to be of service and benefit to everyone. But if we all buy in, this is a journey we can go on, and we'll do something very special. So the conversation wasn't around, let's build this as a culture. If everyone buy into that, you've established a culture.
So values, what relationship, if at all, do values would values have with vision? And what I mean, example would be, is the let's say the farmer working with the soil, what they do, is it what they do reflects what they value? They're doing a
Absolutely.
certain thing because they have a vision that someday that plant is going to grow.
So
We
you've
can
got
unpack.
values that you grow up in your ecosystems that right from early days with the small ecosystems around you, whether it be your parents have an influence, guardians, your peers, it would be teachers, it could be sport, but those leaders set values in you that are really deeply ingrained, and they'll give you a visceral response to things or people that push against them. So when you're looking at what you want to do, you measure they're your moral radar, and you measure yourself against those. They form your beliefs. So all of a sudden you're looking around in those days, or even now, that you want to, we can build this. Let's look at your podcast, for example. These are your values, these are the things that you believe in. And I think I can be of service and benefit to myself and others through sharing this conversation and knowledge. Does that make sense? And then when you sell that to, might be a producer, to other people being involved, then you've got a common set of values and a common purpose of why both of us are here, because we want to be a service and benefit to others, sharing in our conversation. Yeah, but what you've done and what your show has done has built a culture that people are bought into. You didn't want to set that culture at the start. It's evolved and continues to evolve as you're growing. So if you understand that from the early onset, you're not setting a culture. The culture will be an evolution of what you value, what you believe, and what that purpose is as your engine that other people buy into. And this is what I'm trying to teach leaders with this, and good leaders, how if they know this early.
Let's say that they know it early versus late. What are some advantages to knowing, conceptualizing, putting into practice early versus late? So what? Yeah, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
What are some of the side effects, symptoms, right? What's going to happen if you don't figure it out now?
Which is a really great question. And I can give you some really solid examples on that through organizations that I've had to come into that are in a lot of trouble. Right. And talking and meeting with some leaders that run a really, really robust, happy, successful organization at the time. Now, if I go into a situation where it can be a bird's nest, or I call it in the weeds, they haven't been clear on those values straight away. So they can't portray that consistently day in, day out. And the other leaders aren't sure of that, but they survive and they're going through. They're just doing what they do. But the culture of the organization is really at unrest. And where is that, and why is that a big problem? Because when challenges come, and they always do, it becomes very uncomfortable to sit in there, and you start getting finger pointing rather than a collective approach to we talk about vulnerability. So as a leader, I should be able to show my vulnerability to you to say, I'm not quite sure, Jay, but I'm very sure that we've got the right people in the room to come to the best solution. But if you haven't done that early work on values and collective values and understanding the purpose, you can't sit comfortably in challenge and differing opinions, rather than the leaders that have done this early work, that front end work of understanding themselves. And then the team understands the common set of values, understand the purpose. So in any sort of situation, the culture is, we know we've got the right people and we can solve it. Everyone feels recognized and validated for who and what they are.
What happens in times of crisis absent that discovery process, absent that the instantiation of that open uh vocal culture?
In times of crisis is where a leader who wants situational influence, you need to have, I think we might have talked about it last time, this liminal perspective, which is being able to look from the outside in, the inside out, and sit in the middle and look all around. So you're looking at a lot of different aspects. But in a time of crisis, you actually need to be able to hit the pause button and stay calm so you can listen to those differing opinions. You can draw in the people that you need. It mightn't be all the senior leaders there. You might need to bring in other skill sets from around the organization that know intricate parts. But if you can't sit in crisis with calm and understanding that everyone wants something, we've got to do something, you go, absolutely. But first, we've got to understand really what is the situation? What are we looking at? And that really needs that calm. Now, if you've done that front end work, then you're happy to sit in crisis and uncomfortable situations, knowing that you'll be able to work through it with the right people in the room, doing the right things with clarity and understanding and the right response. The last thing you want to do, Jay, is react emotionally. And we'll talk about emotional intelligence, I'm sure, later. But if you're reacting emotionally, you haven't got that calm, and then it brings panic out to the room. But if we can have a conversation such as we're having now, that it's a real crisis and there's a lot of working pieces to it, but we say, hey, this is who we are, and this is what we're doing. This is the issue, and this is the gap. So what do we need? And you start unpacking those things with it, but you get a good response and clarity out of that because you're able to sit in the situation with calm.
How do you reconcile paradox of those with the least emotional intelligence believing they have the broadest, and those with the most emotional intelligence not needing the help?
I know what you're saying.
I just, it came to me as you were talking, thinking, oh, I gotta ask Doctor this.
Yeah,
It's like an
it's
interesting. I've cracked myself up on.
absolutely. I know what you say. Emotional intelligence is such a fascinating subject, and
Like the
there's a lot of
reason,
questions.
maybe I'm not using the right word. I want to pinpoint on that for a second, actually, because you
Absolutely.
mentioned front end work. So I'll
Yeah.
pose it in a different way.
Yeah.
Those that might be thinking, oh, I did the front end work. They may need it the most, but they believe they've done it. And those that, well, that if they really have, they don't need it. Like, rather than use the emotional intelligence word, because it could almost like, I think I'm oversimplifying it. This front end piece, I want to go into
Yeah.
you use the term front end. I like that. It's
Yes.
like, so I want to rephrase that. So those that, that might be thinking, uh, yeah, those that really think, I definitely don't need that, may be in the need of it the most. And those that really have it, well, then they don't need it. So how do you reconcile that?
It's an interesting and great question, but for me, the ones that are saying I don't need that um, is an issue that we need to look at ourselves continually with introspection on how we can grow and challenge ourselves to ask, what there's a thing called a hot wash, and it's asking yourself just two simple questions. What did we do well, or what did I do well, and what could I have done better, just for today? So today I did this. I was very accessible, and did my interaction really well. But tomorrow I can be a lot more present in the meeting. So even if I was there, I wasn't fully there. So that's that front end work that you're looking at yourself continually. But why it's so important, Jay, because you've done nearly 1,000 episodes. And congratulations on that. It's
Thank you.
unbelievable. But there's going to be conversations that trigger you. So if you're not sure of who you are,
You want to know the
then
episodes?
yes, please go. No, I won't put you on the spot
No,
there.
I can tell you right
Yeah,
now. I've got the names right here.
yeah. But how do you work through that episode and still bring something of value to your listeners instead of sitting there triggering, going, I want to get this person off. Let's just cap it at 20 minutes instead of 45 or whatever. So you, if I'm talking to you as the coach, is Jay, we've got to really tap into who you are. So when you want to have different guests on that are going to be challenging at some times, but you can sit there comfortably, knowing what your values are and who you are, and an ongoing learning, which builds your emotional intelligence. So you can have these conversations with whoever you need to and sit there and listen and absorb, rather than you're already having a visceral response, turning off your mind to them because you don't like what's coming out. Because sometimes you need to hear that information to get the outcomes that you need to move an organization forward or a team forward with it. But if you close your mind on it and say, I don't need that, or I don't like that, or this, or I'm just not listening, well, you're turning the tap off to so many different things.
What could be some of the long-term consequences for a business that stops listening to itself?
Then you go into self-preservation mode. So then people start saying, well, this is my role, and this is what I do. And so it starts to become very segmented and fragmented. And I've sat in these organizations where that happens. So you really want a fluid leadership of it, and consistency. What do you like with, if I reach out to you, Jay, I get Jay every time the same, hey, consistency. So I know who you are every single time that I contact you. The mood's very similar. The conversations are great. You're learning outcomes. But if you go into that self-preservation mode where people don't understand themselves well, and then become, I've done this, it's their fault. It's not my fault, this isn't happening. You're not a learning organization, you're not growing. So the culture that you've established is one of preservation and not sharing and not listening to each other, because you need to know where those gaps are. So that's where I would work with teams to really start to understand we need to listen more and grow more individually and collectively.
How can that impact customer experience?
Great question. And it affects that. There's two ways. It's called the pebble in the pond. So if you throw a pebble in the pond, you'll get ripples going everywhere. Okay. So your customer experience somewhere, if it's negative, the fastest information to go out, whether it's in social media or by sharing, is negative information. I was talking to Dr. Taylor on this, and you know what? He didn't treat me very well. I wouldn't recommend his services. And that ripples out. So if you're not sharing information, have clarity with an organization, even if you don't know the answer, you can say, look, I'll talk to so-and-so in this division. I'll talk to so-and-so in this division. They do a fantastic job there and have the information. I'll get it back to you. You've got clarity of where things are. We don't know everything. We can't know everything. But if you say, that's not my role, I don't do that, you'll have to speak to those people over there, then you're cutting off most of your organization, your leadership at the start. Now, if that's new business, or you're trying to get new members, new followers, whoever that is, you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face, to an old saying. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, what about the listeners that are thinking they run a business and they're thinking, I don't care about core values on the wall. I don't care about bean bags and pizza parties. That's not adding to the bottom line, the top line. How do you retort to those listeners around the relationship of leadership, culture, and top line revenue, profit? The what how do they relate to one another?
Absolutely. I actually wrote a paper and a mind map on the return on investment minded CEO, that their sole focus is that bottom line. You know, what's our margins, what's coming in every day, what's coming in every week and every month. We've got to hit this percent or this percent of what's coming in. But what you become is hyper focused on pushing people to a limit of, you're not getting your target. We're not getting our target. You've got to do whatever you've got to do to get this in. So you're actually not recognizing people and validating them for who they are and what they're doing. You're hyper focused on a monetary gain, which will go out into the marketplace to say, you know what, these people are just really focused on money. Now, if you've got your values, but you've got a common set of agreed values, then that helps you build purpose of where we're going. And what that helps you build is boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, how do you measure each other and expected behaviors that you can bring and mold and go in and out of? People would test their boundaries, but say, this is not who we are. So that pebble in the pond effect, knowing who you are, this is who we are inside, because this is what we've built and this is what we do consistently, day in, day out. I know who Jay is, and Jay does all these things, and this is at our core, this is who we are. Now, how do you get that? Is through honesty of your actions meeting your words and your hard work and doing all those sorts of things. But the vital role of you as a CEO, as that owner, is to give people to feel valued, to give them purpose, to give them recognition for what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that really builds something special to the market, that the market wants to come to you because of the experience that they're getting, not because of just the product. The product is also a byproduct of what you do, and you want quality, definitely out in the market. But if your experience from that organization is a great customer experience, you go away with a smile on your face for the way you've been treated, the way you've been recognized as a person. You're getting a quality product on time. If you have issues, they look after that. Then you're willing to pay more money to get that. So those ones really focus on just money. It's going to be ultimately inferior product and inferior service, because all they want to do is get that revenue in and the set margin to make their bottom line and their pocket and their wallet feel a lot better.
So I'm an early agricultural farmer. I'm tilling the field.
Yep.
What I value is reflected in what I do. Like, there's certain behaviors I have to do, act out rather, certain actions I have to take to till the soil, to prepare the soil for an outcome. It's like the purpose of the soil
It'll get
is,
down to that purpose right at the start. If I do an honest day's work and I prepare this well and the ground and keep doing that consistently day in, day out, I know I'm going to be able to build this and then plant the seeds.
well,
And then
and
I'm
the purpose is because I'm going to get like something from this process.
you're going to get something that you can sustain yourself and you
And
can
that,
on sell to others. So you've got a purpose for yourself and the community.
and so the, the, but the soil, the tilling, that wasn't transactional. Like if I were to pull back a bow and arrow and aim at a boar and let go of it, boom, I immediately get the boar. Now I may have to clean it and cut it, and there's a ritual after, the transactional nature of killing it. But if I'm planting vegetables, and they're feeding the hogs, and it's like it's a different time elapse to get the
Absolutely.
sustenance. It's interesting. I'm just thinking, as we go through this, like a different time. So I wonder what impact, the time has with what I value and how I have to abstract or think about the future. Because there's two me's that, well, there's more than, well, yeah, there's future me and there's not right me now. So like it's one of time, the me now is sacrificing me now for the future me that benefits from helping someone else.
Absolutely. So
And
if you
these are
came to me,
tied together.
you've gone from concept. So you've mapped out a concept. And if you came to me saying, I think we could grow these things. And I say, well, what's your purpose, Jay? What do you want to do? So why do you want to do it? And if you articulate that, I think we've got great soil here. And I think if we remove all these things and work really hard, we can plant this crop, which is going to take 6 months to mature. But during that process, if we really look after it, initially, we're not going to make anything because at the moment we haven't got anything. It's concept, but I can really see this vision. And my values tell me that if we work really hard, do an honest day's work, and our actions reflect that, and we bring people in, the right people doing the right things, it might take 6 months until that matures. But that's going to provide us with this benefit for ourselves, which is going to provide food, but it's also going to provide us with product that we can on-sell that's going to be a benefit to the community that will keep them coming back. And when that crop is maturing, we've already built another one. So then you're planning ahead and you're giving everyone a journey to go on to go, wow. So collectively, if we all do these core value things and we have this purpose on a journey, so we're doing the same things consistently day in, day out, all working together, this will be the end result, which will expand over time because people buying it, other people go, where did you get that? And they go, oh, you have to get it from them. So everything starts in concept. But if you were coming to me with that concept, I'll say why and what's your values? What's the common set of values and what's your purpose? What's the journey you're going on and how long is that going to take? Make sense?
Val, how about this? What, what, what we value is revealed in what we do.
I could ask you what's some of your deepest values. If I ask you what's two or three of your deepest values right now, is it honesty? Is it trust? Is it commitment? Is it dedication? What are those things to you that you started your business deep inside you? You said, if I do these things and don't compromise them, I'll be successful. They're your deep values of who you are, which give you belief and it gives you purpose to what you do. What you want to do when you're bringing other people in is get a common set. How do you tap into other people to get them to go, yes, I want to come on board that? That's fantastic.
So now let's say that our listeners want to gather and work on their group's core values. What would be some advice in how to have an engaged conversation around a company to clarify what it is that they value?
And that's where you've got to create a safe environment. It's a great question. So creating a safe environment for people to have an open conversation where, so if we're having this conversation now, you feel safe to tell me I value this or I value that. But if you're looking to really what that is creating an environment where you can ask those questions that draws it out. And it's a lot of the work that I do with people is to draw that out. And then collectively you get that vision of these are 3 to 5. You don't want to go above that because it can get silly, but these are 3 to 5 values that we really hold dear to all of us that we're going to uphold. We agree to uphold and work within these values to meet this purpose. And that starts to build the culture that you do in, day out. And it's when you don't live those values consistently that your culture is all over the place.
Let's say that our listeners are in a scenario where they believe that their organization is not living the core values that are written out on the wall. What advice do you have for our listeners that may be a part of that organization, that governance structure, that megalith?
It's an awesome question. I'm actually writing a newsletter on this very thing at the moment of where values conflict,
Okay.
and then you've got your moral code. So you might be working in that scenario, okay, where there's a common set of core values and they're not living to them. You had agreed to them at the start, but they seem to have moved away. Maybe there's been some management changes from when you first came on board, and sometimes a new CEO and other people come in and they want to change the way an organization is doing things. And they might come in and have that mindset that you just described earlier on. We're not making enough money. I've been told to come in and we've got to meet these margins and get these things in daily, weekly, and monthly. And we're going to measure your performance every day on that. Now, that really starts to foster an organization based on fear that my sole purpose now is to make money and hit a certain figure. But that goes against your value, Jay. If you were doing a sale, if you're a business development and you're honest through your actions, and does the person really need it, or are you going to try and push them over the line just to get the sale, knowing that perhaps it's not the right thing, not the right time, and not the product that they need? But in the background, you're going, well, I'm going to get a dressing down because I didn't meet this budget. I didn't meet this thing. So then your values are like magnets pushing against each other. And that's where you'll come to a line in the sand, as we all have, whether it's a team, it's an organization, it's a community group. We go, this is now going in a direction against who I am. I don't think I can contribute to it anymore. But even if you give notice I'm going to leave in 2 weeks, you'll still work to your value and then leave.
How about what are your thoughts on that at any given, so thought experiment, I'm 97% a saint, only 3% a sinner versus someone, so the inverse, someone else is 97% a sinner and 3% a saint. Meaning like we talk about my core values as
Yes.
as an individual,
Yes.
not scales, not scales of value or armor added to my torso that represent how I need to show up for the customer relative to what we provide. But the actual, because there's two that there's, well, as an individual, I value this, I value virtue and I value sin because I do both.
Yes.
The question is, am I 98% a saint and 2% a sinner, or 98% a sinner and 2% a saint? Now, at some this is more like a thought experiment. At some ratio, I go from being outside of the legal system to inside the legal system. Is it
Yeah.
is it is it is it 51-49, or is it 54? You see it, 46
Well, what
or
if your
45?
2% is really nefarious and it's going to
No, because
cause,
like where my things like on a personal like human value,
yeah,
each if I'm philosophizing correctly, each human like individual values. Well,
differently.
this is the Aristotle, like that's why I love that quote. The what is that? The golden
The
mean.
golden mean. Yeah.
There's I actually had it here because as an axiom of your work, I think it's really helpful
Yes.
from a thought
Yep.
experiment. Um, Virtue is the golden mean between two vices, the one of excess and the other of deficiency.
Yeah.
So like, so all right, so where I'm going with this is uh this is more of a hiring, I guess in a sense, a hiring question, but also a how much an impact an environment can have on the rehabilitation of, or
Yeah.
the elevation of a person, how much the impact, because when it comes to our personal values, I would argue that all humans personally value, things we deem as bad and things we deem as good, uh based on how people naturally behave in the world. We could look at, so maybe that's a little
It depends where
philosophical
you
for the
come from the
show.
world, Jay. So that's a fantastic thing about working around the world, because if you're working in the UAE and you're working in India and America and Australia and China, as I have for different things, you've got very different views. Western parts of the world, you've got the Middle East part of the world, you've got a communist side of the world. Yes, we've got values. There's different value systems, but if I can bring it back to that word leadership that we started at the start of having situational influence, you've got to be able to sit and listen in that fluid motion. And now, emotional intelligence of what we were talking about is having an understanding of when do you need empathy, Jay, and then when do you need to take some autocratic and dictatorial approach when there's really pressure on, so that you're designating some roles which is going to bring calm. And at other times, you've got to read a situation where you know someone's going through something difficult. They might be going through cancer, or they might be having something with the family, and they can't quite contribute what they usually do. And you say, Jay, go and look after your family, go and take care of this, and we'll look after these things until you're back on your feet. Now, that's not a performance issue for you, that's a life issue for you. So when you're looking at 98% this and 2% that, or what's the balance, it's not actually that balance of value. It's understanding yourself and that emotional intelligence, where you can reach on these different skills that you have and plug them into the situation that's needed with it. Because we can't just be empathetic all the time. If people are pushing the boundaries, you're going to have some strong conversations, aren't you? To say, hey, this is not what we expect here.
So in the would you say that then is it in a sense a meta value that leadership intelligence in like part of your, so in a global society where we're more interconnected globally, it becomes clear that cultures have different hierarchy of values relative to
Yeah,
all sorts of factors.
absolutely.
And so you're positioning to our global audience that uh, emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence, and
Which is really coming in big time.
leadership intelligence is
Is
the
the next
meta.
big thing. Yeah.
Is it the
So
meta value to attempt to put one in a position to have to relate to relate to the natural conflict that could arise with so many different ways of perceiving the world, so many different ways.
there can be. So you
Okay,
can
so go
plug
ahead.
in, look at this AI now. We've looked at emotional intelligence, and now AI is becoming more and more prevalent every day. So you could actually use one of the chatbots to plug in, I'm having this scenario, what do you think I should do? But that will come up with a scenario that if you follow that, how do you know that's the right thing? It might have some good suggestions, but then you've got to measure your emotional intelligence with you. But if you haven't got the leadership intelligence to sit in both of them and push and prod and poke around and pull out the right things you need to have situational influence, that leadership intelligence is going to be absolutely vital, more than now than ever before, because AI is coming at us so quickly. America is wanting to lead the race in the world for artificial intelligence. You know, your president at the moment has said that's a priority, and they've put 500 billion towards that to get in front of it. But there's so many people building AI, and that's taking away people's decision making that they would usually do. And it can make people lazy to say, I can put in this and get the answer. So I don't have to quite do the work that I used to. So you're not doing the emotional work as well. And so your leadership intelligence is starting to fail. So that's why I really want to encourage people to start looking at leadership intelligence.
How can that undermine, what do you, so can you elaborate on that a little bit more, and how artificial intelligence can undermine the actual intelligence of its user? What do you mean by that? What's an
So
example?
I can,
Or
if I wanted to, for instance, go to say it's ChatGPT, just to throw one out there and say I want to write a blog on this particular subject, you can put
yep.
that in and it'll write the blog for you. Now, if you wanted to do quality of this is who I am, so it'll give you subject matter and say, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? You go, no, that's pretty good, or yeah, expand on that a bit more. But the emotional intelligence of that and the values behind it is not coming from you. So your leadership intelligence is not being used. We're now becoming late. So you can get a PhD done on your chat GPT or research paper. So it's really dangerous on the reliance of they're great tools used in the right way. But if we start becoming more and more reliant on them, and we don't understand that emotional intelligence aspect, we're really lacking on the leadership intelligence. And this is the space that I'm working really deeply in the moment.
Where's the blue ocean, or where's the value in the leadership intelligence? How do you see the integration with artificial intelligence and leadership intelligence? Or what relationship does artificial intelligence, and how we relate to artificial intelligence, reflect real intelligence?
So it's a great question. And then you're going to have to start to be able to measure leadership on an individual basis, on other leaders, and an organizational front, and overlook how that's going and performing. It's really, really important. And that gets back to that culture conversation that we're having, that you don't become segmented and you start going into preservation mode for who you are. and you haven't got that interconnection with other people. So it's really important. That's why it's actually vital to have this leadership intelligence, so we're understanding ourselves, understanding others in the organization as well.
If you were to break leadership intelligence down into, step 1, 2, 3, 4, how would you go about doing that?
That's where our conversation on that front end work initially is really important to understand. So it really comes down to those things: understanding your values, understanding your beliefs and your behaviors, having purpose to have situational influence. And then there's those other factors that we've talked about with emotional intelligence that goes deep and around that. But if you're looking at your legs on the chair, to have 4 solid things, really that front end work, that's why I work on it so much and research it and discuss it so much. Because how can you lead if you don't understand yourself first and foremost? Then have that common belief with people, common set of core values, purpose, which is your engine for yourself and everyone else. And then you've got situational influence, and you can measure and overlap on how that's working.
How do you conceptualize vision or aim?
That's where your values are so important, and purpose is your vision and mission. Here's here's the concept. Here's where we want to go. So our mission, so our vision is we want to provide this product for people at the end. This is our why. Why do you exist, Jay, in this organization? And it's to provide service and benefit to others with this product. Now, the what and the how are after that, but you really need to create the why. Why are we here? Why am I here? Otherwise, you're not going to turn up every day. With love, with care, with passion, with purpose for what you're going to do.
In the absence of the why, people are less likely to show up.
Why am I here? What's the purpose of me being here? I'm not feeling valued. I'm not feeling recognized. I don't think I'm benefiting anyone. This organization doesn't value me. I don't believe in their values. So if you haven't got that purpose and you haven't got those values, you can see how easily that conversation happens to yourself. I'm sure you could think of scenarios where you're going, why am I even going? Why am I here? And that is your purpose. Why? And
Well,
that's
it's fascinating because I'm curious if you research or you've interviewed over 160 business leaders in your tenure and your research. It's
all over different segments, whether it's
different
military,
segments,
government, high performance sport, academics, finance, you name it.
Like if you look back, like if you think into, let's just say go back in history, why questions would industrial laborers been answering, like, why am I here? Maybe the stress, the duress of survival of, the why was implicit. Not die, eat, feed family, like, right. Then you have like the industrial revolution. It's capital, right?
Capitalization, absolutely.
Why am I here? Well, because like the quid pro quo of human, this is like an interesting philosophical, like the quid pro quo of the human endeavor, like in the past, was if you show up, you get the money. Like if you show up, you get capital. Capital is what you use to pursue your hero's journey. Right. I'm accountable to, I have to be responsible because I'm accountable to nature, uh, what, children, dependents, community, like,
But that all gives you purpose, Jay.
all
When you
these things. But now these things
absolutely.
are changing. community isn't 100 people that you go to school with, you go to high school with, you see at the factory. No, community is your 5,000 Facebook friends or your buddy from Australia you met on an app.
Well, the
Community
art
is,
conference you went to that people knew from an app that gone, so
yeah,
community, absolutely. But
but
if
what I'm,
you
yeah,
look back
yeah,
before that, the internet even,
yeah.
there's places in America that were, Detroit, it used to be known for its car manufacturing, and that's gone away, particularly with media and social media, that we can do it better and do it different in other places. Now, that's where things are, and now with AI, it's changing so quickly
And
on
I'm stressing
automation.
this because I think it's important for our listeners to take seriously when you said the employee, and I'm in agreement with this phenomenon, to be very clear, the employee that's saying, why am I here?
Yeah,
That's a degree of entitlement only capable in a civilization with existential awareness.
there's a human
Meaning,
element.
meaning, why am I here? Well, so I don't get eaten by a bear, so I don't die of starvation, so I can pay for my mortgage, so I can, like, there's a lot of
Feed a
implicit
family.
reason. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's so much there's a tremendous, right, hierarchy of like implicit values, like why I'm here. Yeah, there's something that is happening worldwide with employment where the corporation has to give its people almost like an an Orwellian utopian theological meaning. Yeah,
Exactly.
like what now that I'm not saying that that's the right thing. I don't necessarily think it's fair. Life isn't get fair enough to give to undeserving people, as Charlie Munger once said. But it's a real phenomenon that I think you're elucidating on that I want to stress is that why am I here? Yeah, like if the company doesn't invest back into its people, the people they don't know why they're here. It's not just, oh, I want to make money or I want to build an ambitious career or I want to show all my friends from my community my horse or my carriage or my Bentley or my
You see
chauffeur.
the culture shift that you've already created through that conversation. That you could have a great culture, and now it's going down because AI is coming in and say, we're going to automate this and we don't need people. And so all of a sudden you're not feeling valued. And those questions of why keeps coming. Why? Even when it comes down to effort, you're turning up because you have to, not because you want to, and not because you want to invest in your skills, because you're not feeling recognized and validated. So that this AI is a valuable tool, and it's automating a lot of things, and it's taking decision making away, but it's taking people away as well. To invest your core values, your why. Why am I here? Why do I want to give my energy to this place, to these leaders, and to the leader of it? If I'm not emotionally invested, and they're going down this AI route. So this leadership intelligence, that's why I'm so passionate and researching it and working on it, that you need to be able to sit in those things and understand where that leadership intelligence has to be. So you're giving people the why all the time. And the best leaders that I've worked with and know have that culture that we we're talking about, tilling the ground, and they do that front end work first. So they're working with that and can sit in those uncomfortable situations.
I want to highlight that. I think that, yeah, to be a leader, that's a sacrifice. Leaders oftentimes they go beyond their concept, they put themselves out of a job, they stop modeling the values, they stop actually modeling in their behavior. And the
Yeah.
people without the vision, the people will perish. The vision is seen by the modeling.
And
I,
those actions and consistency day after day.
I'm so in agreement with that. Where I would what I do think though, each individual like someone that doesn't have a why, he who has a why can bear almost anyhow. They likely have not suffered enough yet. And if they haven't suffered enough yet, to combat the innate, this is just my opinion, the
Yeah.
innate entitlement that comes with being alive, not not choosing to be alive, just being alive, like breathing and being able
Now
to
you're getting into
urine.
some deep
Yeah,
philosophical
listen, you're the
territory.
philosopher.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
talking to,
Now
but
you're
like,
getting into the Viktor Frankl and
but this is
or
why they need leaders
Aristotle and
like
stuff. Yeah.
you to help their leaders, because I think that that person, they better follow somebody and be a part of a company like the companies you work with that show them what it means to live.
Yeah.
So I want your thoughts on that. Like, as
Well, we
somebody
need
that
to
studied,
suffer. As you said, suffering
okay,
brings learning. But if I'm a leader in an organization, what are your most important things, Jay? Your most important things are people. People are your number one. They're not your tool. They're your number one thing in your organization. So I need to understand you, Jay. What motivates you? Who are you? What are your values? And what makes you feel recognized as a person in this organization day in and day out, that I can come into you and say, Jay, how's your wife going? How did you go at this? How did you do that? Not where are you on your work right this minute. You feel valued as a person. So your why becomes, I feel part of this. I feel part of this journey. So leadership is a lot more than making, it's management, leadership, different things. So I need to show you that I value you.
where does listening, asking questions, and care come in?
Yeah, that really good questions. I always say be the best listener. I used to get that from people. You don't speak that often during meetings, and I would say absolutely, because I want to hear different opinions. So I want to learn about you, Jay, and coming on podcasts. Yes, I have to talk a lot, but generally I like to listen a lot. And if there's a challenging situation, I like to throw out, this is the challenge. I'm not quite sure what to do, but I know I've got the right people here, and then let everyone go for it and share their opinion. So
Uh,
you need to be the best listener, Jay, not the best talker as the leader.
I want to answer a question you asked me about 40 minutes ago.
Sure.
In the capacity of culture matters, business advisory, consulting, I've been working for 10 years, acting, interacting, laboring, and a confident. The last few weeks, I've been working on the values. So in my mind, the value urgency has it infers a be if it reflects behaviors that I believe from experience are important to act out, to model out in the capacity of the firm.
Yep.
So there's the what it means is reflected what it means, urgency. I've been working on making explicit in language. So like I did a monologue on sense of urgency as a concept of value, and using the show, talking through it. I loved how you did the etymology. I think it was the etymology of the word culture, culture,
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
Looking at the etymology, the morphology of the word urgency, and like
But your
case
purpose
studies.
is still, you're still on that journey. So you're learning all the time, even through these conversations and
Oh yeah.
interactions.
Oh, yeah.
You're learning. So lessons learned all the time, and you're challenging your values. So you're molding yourself and you're growing. So your beliefs are changing. But your beliefs are, if I keep doing this and doing this and doing consistently day in, day out, this is my purpose, to be able to provide this service and benefit for others through the platforms that I do, through the education I do. And I really, really believe in it.
Well,
Really
you
good.
you hit the nail on the head because actually the belief, purpose, goal, vision, mission of the Culture Matters podcast is written down. I haven't shared it. I used to share it at the beginning of all the episodes, and I've been experimenting, so I got away from share at the beginning. But that's what the purpose of the Culture Matters podcast is to uncover the genius of our guests. The goal is to make curiosity cool, because our vision is that human culture is open, curious, and focused on creating the future. All of this reflecting components of my own individuality. These
Well, I'll give you
values
another
go,
thing that you're doing,
uh,
Jay.
yeah, please.
You're making me feel valued and recognized for my expertise while I'm on your program. That's why I want to come on. You feel talking to me
Yeah,
is
you
of
know
value,
yourself.
but you're saying I'm of value to your audience, so that makes me feel good. That gives me a why of what I want to be talking to John Culture Matters. So you unknowingly you've created that for yourself, but that's recognition and validation for other people. See how it works?
I I yes, I love having these conversations with you. It's so some of the values, and maybe this could be like a part three. I would love to have you
Absolutely.
back,
Yeah,
but
because
the yeah, it's exciting conversation that so far on the Culture Matters podcast, if anyone's interested in listening, there's a monologue, of course, after they listen to episode 802, your first appearance,
of
they
course,
should
yes.
go listen to urgency, consistency, curiosity, and
Yeah.
preparation. Those are the four. I'm not done. I have more values to talk about. I won't say them until they're out, but those are the four that I've discussed so far as I'm it's something you said about learning is that I'm always destroying my values so I can and frankly I just want to make sure that the team is actually helping clarify and codify these. We're in the process of, but
I
I've
wouldn't
been
say you're destroying
experimenting.
them, you're
Okay, go ahead.
challenging them.
Challenge, yeah, destroys. That's one,
Yeah, yeah,
intensity.
but you're challenging them. They're pushing and pulling and prodding, and these are robust. And these are, can we live these? Do we
Yeah, I
really live?
don't like the idea of them being or statues are meant to be, or sculptures are meant to be carved.
Every day?
What's that visual? Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
sculpture,
I'm
the
trying to
rock.
think of the philosophical one on that. It's someone, I think it's a statue of David, and they said you created the great statue, and it wasn't. No, the statue was always there. I just chipped away the loose pieces that weren't needed. So, and I've been going to the gym for 37 years, as you know. I'm a bodybuilding, but is the statue always how you want it to be, or can you tweak and change and push? So I'm chipping away every day at things that I could. And you get older, you
Yeah.
change your values, change it. So it is having that chip away process all the time, and lessons learned, and how do I grow as a person, how do I grow as an organization, and how do I help the people grow as well.
Our listeners that want to connect with you, what's the fastest? They want to bring you into their organization. They want to connect with you, have you work with their leadership. What's the fastest way they could get in contact with you?
If
And
they
what
go
would
to
you
Be the
say?
Leader, yeah, and thank you, Jay, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Sorry to cut you off. If they go to betheleader.org, we can put that in the description. But if they just go to the website there, they can get me straight away.
And you know, how so those that would want to bring you into their organization, what's their top two problems that they're facing, headwinds, and why should they bring you in to help?
Thank you. And great question. For a CEO, I call it the loneliest place in the world. So everyone on your way up, you're looking up and you've got a lot of other people to talk to. When you get to the top, it's a very, very lonely place because everyone's coming to you for perceived having all the answers. So coming to me and working with me on an individual basis gives you that safe space to have vulnerable conversations, to look at what's really challenging you and why, and how can I help you grow and the organization grow in itself. And then I can help with your leadership team, and I can work with all that front end, but the middle and the back end as well, and really work on that leadership intelligence and show you where those balances are. But for senior leaders, you really need a safe space and someone to talk to that's got the experience of working in the positions that you're working in. But I've got so much research that I've done. I've worked with so many people across so many sections that I can pull and grab and mold different things to help you navigate, whether it's challenges or just want to grow yourself. But that's where I can help organizations, leaders themselves, and leadership teams.
Dr. Taylor, I can't wait till next time. If you're listening to this podcast, get in touch with Dr. Damien Taylor. Go listen to episode 802 of the Culture Matters podcast. Very different conversation, very complimentary to our show today. We went deep on culture design, the background of culture, and why leadership intelligence is vital in the future to come. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much. Thanks so much for
Thanks,
coming on the
Damien.
Culture Matters podcast, my friend.
Absolute honor and pleasure. Thank you so much. I love the conversation as always, Jay. It's been great to see you.
Please share this with a friend. Leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you.